Okay, what's happening, everyone? Um, Welcome to today's live stream event. Um, my name is Eben, and today we're doing a little special stream here. I am taking requests for the subject of today's creation, today's painting or drawing or whatever it ends up being. And this is what we have so far. So if you are just joining us, then feel free to drop your request in the chat, and I will throw it on here before I spin this handy wheel. Let me check here on Instagram as well. Make sure there are no last minute requests. All right. So yeah, I'll just give you just a minute here in case anyone else wants to make a request before we get started. Yes, we got some very interesting options here. Some of them I'm not sure I can do. I might have to take this one right off the list. Although I would love to do a portrait of my mother, I'm not sure that would be quite as interesting for everyone else. I'm gonna go ahead and take that off there. But we have some very cool options here. We've got monsters, armies battling. I don't know, somebody wrote this in. I don't know if squirrel samurai is like a thing, or if they're just talking about a squirrel that's also a samurai. I have no idea. And we've got some more kind of abstract options here, sort of themes that we can play off of. Cool. All right, yeah, let's just go ahead and see what happens here. Cool. All right, very broad. That gives us some flexibility here. Interesting. That's actually not something I do too often. So let's see what happens here. This is just a little sketch I was working on, so just a little warm up here. Let's go ahead and fill this in. Monsters. I wonder. I guess we could just kind of do some concepts. And see what we can come up with. Like I said, this isn't something I do too often, but so it'll be probably nice to kind of experiment a little bit with this. I don't do too much like creature design or anything anymore, but definitely have done a fair amount of dragons and that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of different opportunities here. So I think we can just start in with some drawing, see what happens here, see if we can design something cool. Actually, this used to be a lot of what I would draw in the past and in school when I was supposed to be doing my homework and assignments and stuff. Be like doodling monsters on some other piece of paper. So it'd be cool to kind of get back into this. But yeah, and of course, if anyone has any ideas about what they want to see, in terms of specific creatures or anything, please feel free to let me know. Leave a comment in the chat there. Otherwise, I'm just gonna kind of see where this goes. Start with some sort of loosely human anatomy, and see where that goes. We could also start with just some general gestures. That could be pretty cool to just see if we can come up with some interesting shape language or designs first. Maybe this one has some extra arms or something. Yeah, we could do I need to update my avatar. It's my cat. Yeah. Well, cats are cool too. We could do like a cat creature as well. So for those just joining us, we have I spun the wheel. Let's see here. We had a lot of great options, but we landed on monsters. So that's going to be the theme of today. Feel free to you know, I'll just kind of write that at the top so people are joining us here. They will know. And we'll kind of use that as our jumping off point, but it is plural, so we can design a bunch of different things here. We're not necessarily glued to one thing or another, so I'm just kind of trying some things out here. This is kind of like a weird sort of pointy kind of creature here. Not totally sure. I'm just kind of experimenting with this shape language here. It's kind of just got a bunch of that's gonna be his theme here, is his points. Just gonna have a lot of weird kind of pointy bits here. Probably just gonna start with some really loose designs, not go into too much detail quite yet, while we're still figuring out what we want to do here. And by the way, this is a relatively new setup here, so if there are any technical issues or anything, do let me know. But it seems like things are going okay so far. Desert Knight, you may suggest what to draw here, as long as we are in the theme of creatures. So, of course, feel free to suggest anything, or monsters. That is, feel free to suggest any kind of monster you would like to see here. And I realized, I think I've drawn this on. Right, I've drawn this on the background layer. So there is something of a solution that we can do here. I'm just gonna take this, copy paste, and we'll just put that on darken mode for now. And let's just go back in to our background layer, just so we can keep everything neat and organized here. All right, that's our first idea. Kind of, we'll call this, that'll be our pointy guy. Call him there we go. Pointy. All right. Underline there. Let's do another one here. We'll see a 3-point perspective line. Interesting. That sounds complicated, but we could definitely give that a shot. Monster with line, face, and hair. Very cool. Looking up. Oh, I guess that would be the same. Manticore. Oh, is that what that is? Interesting. Welcome, Sabrina. Nice to see you here. And the Ronin and Wurzel. Nice to see you all. So, yeah, let's give that a shot. I'm just gonna draw big here and then can zoom it down later. A monster with a lion face and hair. I don't have any references right now. I guess I should pull some up. Let's see if we can. I don't know if I have too many animal references because like I said, this isn't something I do too often. Let's see what I have here. I have reptiles. Of course I have reptiles, amphibians, and birds. Well, we'll keep this handy. Oh, I've got some, is that like a buffalo or an ox or something? Ooh, this will be good. You know what, let's just whip up a quick reference board here. And you know, we can just pull from this when needed. I do like all of these cephalopods and stuff like that. Octopus. Worms. We can use worms. We can make some worm creatures too. I'm just pulling from what I have here. Invertebrates, reptiles, of course. I'm sure I have all kinds of cool reptiles here. That's sweet. Frogs, sure, why not? Lots of crocodiles. This is my dragon reference folder, pretty much. Got a bearded dragon there. This interesting skull. Some cool amphibians here. I like this guy. Look at those eyes. That's funny. And so, yeah, we'll get some oxen or whatever. I can't remember what I was using these for, but it must have been something pretty specific. And some birds. Interesting. So I'm actually curious, what is a manticore? I'm assuming that has something to do with the lion. Oh yeah, oh, that's pretty cool. Lots of course, we don't have a live reference here, but there's some really cool artwork. Wow. Interesting. So it's got the tail of a scorpion and the wings of a bat, looks like. That's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. Creepy. All right, let's use that. Let's get some actual line references in here. It's good to be able to work from life when possible. Something dynamic here, maybe. Let's do a lion roaring. I can't really spell, can I? Oh, that's sweet. It's a good one. It's a good expression. What else? How hippo's more. Griffin, that'd be cool. I think we have all of probably most of the ingredients for that. So let's just take all of our images, normalize by size, and then I think it's images range optimal. There we go. Got a nice neat reference board here. All right, yeah, let's dive into, let's see what we can create with the manticore here. We wanted kind of a 3-point perspective, so maybe we can have him kind of perched on a rock or something like that. Get kind of a curved posture here. kind of looking up, just including a little rock there for context. And then trying to imagine how the planes of the face will work here. Let's bring up our line reference. And bear in mind, this is by no means a specialty of mine. We're working in uncharted waters here, but I think this is a cool idea. Let's move that head out a little bit. He's looking a little squat right now. Give him some nice teeth here. Should probably try to get a little bit less sketchy with things. Oh, another thing I've been trying to do recently is just dropping the opacity of the brush a little bit, so I can kind of slowly build things up here. I've been experimenting with some different stylistic choices recently, trying to be a bit more refined with my general approach, a bit more loose. I mean, you wouldn't know it from this sketch here, but all right, now kind of got the lower jaw here. It's looking pretty good. Nice perspective. And I want to give him some powerful muscles here. I'm not super familiar with line anatomy specifically, but we can even work from our artist reference here as well. It's got some really great stuff happening there. Let's see what the actual line is looking like. Right, chimeras, those are cool. Will I regularly stream again? I would like to. Been very very busy with a variety of commission projects. Mostly just focusing on that. Been doing a lot of character work actually, which has been really cool. Unfortunately, a lot of it I'm not at liberty to share just yet, but been working on that quite a bit, and so haven't had quite the time for the YouTube videos and the live streams, unfortunately. It's been great to see that people are still checking out old streams. In fact, there's one that's just been blowing up, and it was a similar subject as this. It was like a kind of a choose your own. I was opening it up to requests from people, and that was the lava monster versus water dragon one. People seem to really enjoy that. I have no idea why. I actually think it's not a great painting overall, but I guess people have enjoyed the process, or maybe I'm just biased, but anyway. Still is looking a little bit stiff. I'll keep moving this head out. This is definitely a challenge. him a little bit more neck space here. This is kind of reminding me of is that Pokemon. I can't remember his name. They made a movie about it a while back. I think that was 3000. And he's like this lion guy, and he's got powers, and there are all those floating alphabet things. I don't know. It was a while ago I saw that, but I think I'm not quite getting the proportions right here. Let's do a little liquefy. I'm starting to get pretty sketchy with this. I want to kind of clean it up a bit, but let's do layer 1. Just kind of tweak some of these proportions a bit. This is actually something I've been doing a lot recently, is just using the liquefy tool to, especially for like character and that kind of work, can really help to fix up proportions and that kind of stuff. But I don't want to spend too much time on this one. Just gonna hopefully spend enough to get some kind of sketch going here. I think maybe, let's see, what if I move this leg back? Probably flip it too. That might help. There we go. It's got some kind of cool tail thing. Oh yeah, it's a scorpion tail, right? So let's just get that in there. It's got some segments. Getting real loose with this. Make sure the face area is well defined, so that's going to be important. Yeah, and if we, I think maybe what we'll do is take one of these and give it a bit more of give it a cleaner treatment. Because I want to explore some ideas here, but I would also like to get into some clean sketching. All right, let's leave that guy for now. Let's call him the... Flip this so I'm not writing backwards. We got the manticore and the pointy guy. Two very different levels of detail here. But all right, what's next? Let's see. The Chimera. Hydra. Loves the dragon versus monster. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Speaking of characters, what are your tips on being consistent on proportions? When I draw characters, I end up with one arm that's bigger than the other, not matching the reference. Yeah, it's a good question. I guess it kind of depends upon how you It depends upon the individual a little bit. But I think generally, for me at least, so I guess there are a couple ways you can approach it. One is like, really trying to study, the specifics of proportion and, like the ratio of head to, chest and torso and all that kind of stuff. I actually never really did too much of that. I guess it was just a little bit, it's definitely useful to understand that generally, but I think the best way to actually learn and implement that in your drawings is just by continuing to practice with actual references. And I think specifically to doing a lot more quick sketches. A lot of my figure drawing and practice and a lot of what I've done to develop stronger character designs is like 5 minute poses, probably 5 to 10 at most, and do an hour of that, either 6 or 12 poses. If you do that once or twice a week, you're gonna see the results in your proportions pretty quickly. It's just a matter of kind of getting a sense for it and an intuition, and not overthinking it too much. You can always check with, with one of those reference sheets for human proportions, but I think what's more valuable ultimately is being able to look at something and determine at least if something is wrong. Even if you can't specifically pinpoint what it is, at least figuring out when something isn't working. Sometimes if you just flip the canvas a couple times, you'll be able to identify it, or at least try some different things, do a bit of trial and error there. I'm thinking about a frog right now. I'm kind of doing a frog guy. This is very fun. I like this one. But that would be my suggestion. Let's see. You're talking about Kremlin. Wow, there's a very in-depth knowledge of fantastical creatures here. I don't know what any of these are. Kempe or Lamia. Lamia is a snake woman, basically. Okay, like Medusa. That's pretty cool. I'm kind of making I really like this guy. Kind of like a frog, but a little bit more. I imagine this is much bigger. Like he's got these big, powerful arms. And I'm starting off with some really kind of simple design language here, but maybe he has sort of 2 sets of eyes. That's always kind of a fun way to add uniqueness and expression to something. Maybe a little bit of a overbite here. Add some sort of, let's put this on the soft eraser here. Maybe some little ridges on the back. I don't know. Of course, this could be his ear too. This is fun. I gotta do this more often. Thanks to whoever suggested the monsters. I guess this isn't so much of a monster, is it? I guess what's implied with monsters, like it's supposed to be kind of terrifying. I don't know if this guy's quite terrifying yet, but we could make him a little scarier if we want. We can talk about that too, like what can we do to a design to make it more kind of intimidating or creepy, for sure. Which, again, is a little bit, I don't know too much about, but I have a general sense. I mean, I've made some pretty creepy stuff in my day. Fortunately, I mean, for better or for worse, not a lot of that ends up in my portfolio, but I definitely still appreciate that kind of stuff. I might just call this one for now. It's kind of a fun little four-legged guy. I guess I put that leg a little bit too forward. Let's bring that back. Give him some kind of thing. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Let's give him a little bit of ground to work on here. And what do we call him? Swamp. Crawler. Nice. I'll just pop him on a separate layer here. Let's get some. Whoops! I've got to reverse this so our text is in line here. I think I want to expand on Pointy Guy a little bit more before we move on, just so we're kind of consistent in our style. I don't think I really gave him the development he deserved. Frogator, that's good. Yeah, all right. Let's just quickly. We can try to make this guy pretty creepy. Here, let's use. Have you ever seen the Dark Crystal, that Jim Henson film? I love that. I don't know. It's so weird, and there are these characters. What are they called? The Skeksis or something, and they're very like loosely kind of vulture based, and they're very creepy and very disgusting. So I'm gonna kind of maybe draw on some of that here. If you haven't seen that, you should definitely check it out. Very, very weird, very surreal, very 1980s, but also, you know, really incredible artwork and, you know, prop design and all that. Sometimes I think often that the round eye is a very sort of intrinsically creepy way to depict an eye. Kind of want to make him a little bit more predatory, so we can kind of give him like the little T-Rex arms here. How about a fiery salamander? That could be cool. It's hard to show fire with the drawing sometimes, but I think we can give that a try. Excuse me. Did have a bit of a cold last week, so pardon me if I'm a little bit congested today, but so it goes this time of year. We can kind of make this a little bit less human by kind of bringing in the shoulders a bit. Actually, let's take this down as well. So here I'm going into a little bit more detail than I said I would, but you know, I kind of want to give this a little bit more development. this leg is not quite working for us. I'll have to do a bit of foreshortening here. Maybe bring it up a little bit, actually. Just a little bit more. Want to make sure that he is sufficiently supported by his limbs as well. I want the balance to be right. Yeah, this one's starting to look pretty creepy. Very spidery almost. Let's move this. A lot of the times with these, figures and stuff like this, takes a bit of tweaking to the concept to figure out exactly how everything's gonna fit in balance. Let's give him a little belly. That's always a bit unnerving, I guess, when something is really kind of like skinny everywhere, but they have like a little belly. That's kind of what my dad looked like. He's a tall, skinny dude, but he had a little belly. All right. What do we got here? Hello, welcome, Jake. Your first time. That's great. Glad you can join us. What's the theme here? The theme is monsters. So I've been working on a few different designs here, just trying out some quick sketches. So feel free to suggest anything you might want to see. One thing I'm noticing with this guy is he's a little bit off balance to the back, so I'm going to just shift everything forward a bit. So there's a lot more, the weight is a lot more centered here. I think that's gonna be much better for our concept. He's got some claw-like things there. Maybe have this kind of bow out a little bit as well. Maybe not. Want it to be consistent with the rest of the design. Alright, that's enough of pointy guy. Let's move on to something else here. Mantis with mammoth tusks. Got a mantis shrimp. That is a cool animal. Yeah, we can do something. Do I have any crustaceans here? I don't. They're very cool. Let's get some of those in the mix. Mantis shrimp. Man, I cannot spell today. Oh yeah, those are so cool. Lots of interesting colors here. Someone made them out of Legos. That's pretty funny. Yeah, they have that like super fast claw maneuver, right? Let's see what else. Alright. Let's try giant crustacean. See what comes up. There's some very cool sea creatures. Holy hell. There's no way that's real. Oh, I love those, the giant isopods. They're very cool. I love that design. Ugh, sea creatures are so cool. If you ever have a chance, you should check out... That's awesome. You should check out... I mean, I'm sure there are so many different things you can see on this now, but anything on like deep sea creatures. I know Ocean Planet did one, and Ocean Planet 2, actually, that one was pretty wild as well. Did these big long episodes on sea creatures and or like deep sea creatures, and it's just wild. I highly recommend you look into that, because there's just stuff happening on the bottom of the ocean that will just blow your mind. It's pretty wild. Maybe we can kind of combine like a crustacean and something like this with some tentacles here. I don't know, maybe we can create like an armored octopus kind of thing. I kind of went with your started with your mantis shrimp idea and took it in a different direction, but we'll still bring that into play here, I'm sure. I wonder if you could have like tentacles, and you don't see that a lot. If like a creature that has tentacles but also has some like interesting kind of claws, or you know, appendages up here. See if we can create something like that. Have it kind of segmented, so we have this head section and then some kind of abdomen thing. Let me give him some very like weird eyes on the side here. Maybe we can do the two eyes here as well. That's kind of fun. Or, you know, sometimes they'll have like some kind of weird sensory organ. You're like, you don't know if it's an eye or what, but give them some cool mandibles as well. I kind of want this to be a bit more streamlined. Maybe we won't do the different segments. Do something a bit more. This is almost insect-like here. Tentacles in the mouth like this. Oh wow, dropping the shrimp facts here. Interesting. Don't want to get too carried away with one particular design, but this is definitely interesting. I guess like something about having both the tentacles and the claws doesn't quite seem to make sense to me. And I think the reason is probably like they're two very different adaptations evolutionarily, you know, like an octopus has a very different approach to survival than, you know, one of these armored isopods does, or like a shrimp. So I guess it would be rare that you would see them both in the same creature, because they would have, you know, an octopus relies on like camouflage and, you know, hiding in very indiscreet environments and ambush predation. I think a little bit more than, you know, something like a shrimp or a crab can be a bit more bold because it's, you know, it's armored. It can defend itself that way. But if you are an armored creature and you have a bunch of tentacles flying around, it's probably pretty easy for a predator to just nip in and eat those off. But, you know, we're just gonna kind of we're gonna see where this goes and sort of suspend our our judgment about whether or not this is biologically plausible, because I think this is looking pretty cool anyway. I like to think of, you know, different ways that a creature might use these tentacles. But it can be protected. We got like a little armor thing on the top. It's kind of protective. One thing I've also been trying out a lot more recently is the smoothing feature, which can be really nice for getting some crisp line work in Photoshop. I usually use this. I've actually been starting to do a inking phase in a lot of my my character work, and I will probably start bringing that into my landscapes at some point as well. Just because I basically what I've been doing more is implementing more of the final design in the first phase of the process, that is during the inking and the sketching phase, which is actually something I picked up from Hardy Fowler. If you guys have checked out his stuff, if you haven't, I highly recommend you check out his YouTube channel and his digital painting studio. We just did a workshop with him at Evident last weekend, which was really awesome, on character design. So I recommend you check that out as well. But anyway, yeah, he's very precise. I was actually talking to him. He used to do a lot of medical illustration, which makes sense because a lot of his work is very kind of crisp and precise. And that's something I feel that I have not been, that my work has really been lacking for a long time, and it's been really cool to explore that more and be a little bit more careful and precise and sort of thorough with my planning and design phase before I move on to painting and coloring, because I realized what I ended up doing a lot was just trying to make a lot of design choices and decisions with painting, which can get really messy, and it ends up being kind of poorly defined, and you lose a lot of you kind of just lose a lot of definition and crispness when you're trying to design things in your painting phase, at least in my experience. So definitely been doing a lot more during the sketch phase like we're doing here, and actually doing another pass like after this, which I think I might try to get to today if we have time, where we do a much more carefully rendered sketch. Anyway, we can probably leave this guy be for a minute, but I do like that. What are we calling him? If it's a cross between a manticore shrimp and an octopus, the mantipus. I don't know if I can say that. Let's see. Crustacean. You throw out some names here. I'm not much of a namer, so feel free to drop some suggestions. I'll move on to the next creature. Welcome, Nick. Nice to see you here. Working, but yeah, I've been seeing a lot of your 3D stuff popping up on Instagram. That's very cool. I was thinking about doing some Blender stuff for this stream as well, but I do not do any creature or character designs in Blender, or at least I have really no idea how to navigate that at this point. I would like to learn, but right now I'm just kind of focusing on more 2D stuff, and trying to get my skills up there, trying to get that nice and crisp. So Octo Shrimp Gustav, nice. Octomins. All right, let's call him. Let's do a little compromise. Let's call him Gustav. 100% opacity, Gustav. The Octo Shrimp. Beautiful. All right, let's keep going. What's next here? This is pretty fun. Just because I am gonna lose my mind if I don't. I gotta throw that in the center here. All right, let's do a little bit of housekeeping here. Make sure we're presenting things in a nice way. Swarm crawler, Gustav the Octo Shrimp. All right, what else can we do? You know what? Let's look at our references here. What else? What haven't we done yet? Haven't done anything really reptilian or anything. What do you call it? There's a category of animal. It's kind of like cows and horses and that stuff. We haven't really done anything there. I love drawing horses. I've not done it in a while. Oh, this guy's eyes. Let's see. Let's see if we can create some kind of like bull thing, or I don't know. Some powerful hoofed beast. I guess we're still doing. I'm kind of drifting into creature zone. I can't forget we're doing monsters here, so we're gonna have to make this kind of scary looking. I guess it could be bears are kind of scary, right? It can be kind of a bear type of thing. I think a lot of the threatening elements come down to the face, right? And how we decide to implement that. Kind of giving him like this bow-legged aggressive stance. We can also, there's a lot to be explored in terms of like, zombies and vampires and werewolves and that kind of stuff, as well. Kind of more grotesque monsters that can be kind of fun. Maybe I'll explore that with the next one. For now, I'm making this kind of like barrel-chested, like, I don't know, how can we make this guy scary? Because right now he's kind of like a big rhinoceros. Sometimes when you take away something's neck, like if we take away his neck and maybe give him just a giant head, that can be a little creepy. Oftentimes just like distorting features can be a big creep factor. Give him a giant kind of jaw. Maybe some kind of horns. Those are always pretty intimidating. Sort of like a demon thing. Sometimes if you give them no eyes too, that can be kind of creepy, right? Maybe we'll do that here. Or at least intimidating, if not creepy. I guess this is not like a creepy character. This is definitely more like something you don't want to get on the wrong side of. Maybe he's guarding like a temple or something. Somebody suggested on our wheel of opportunity there, suggested doing like a monster guarding or a creature guarding a temple or something. So this could easily be something that you station outside of your temple to keep out looters, Kind of like a giant Giant dog or something. One eye is also creepy, yes. Apparently Desert Knight has said this before. Eyeless is creepy, yeah. Please, I have not explored that much. I really ought to. I gotta make sure these horns are designed consistently here. That's one thing 3D is really useful for, that sometimes you can miss in a sketch, or at least I definitely can, is just getting shapes like this to be consistent in three-dimensional space. Can be a little bit tough. Sometimes it's easier to just boil it down to some basic triangles like I've done here. I'm wondering if he should have teeth or not, or if it should just be kind of like this undefined mouth region here. Give him a big, intimidating jawline. And for those of you that are wondering what I'm doing technically here, basically I'm just switching back and forth between a pencil and an eraser. Nothing too complicated about it. I think I've got to move this this arm a bit. It's a little bit low. There we go. On his back leg there. I guess I'm not even really looking at my reference at all now, but because it's sort of departed a little bit from the oxen, but I'm liking this design nonetheless. Hey, Sahiru, welcome. Good to see another familiar face here. What is the program I use to keep the references in front? This is PureRef, which is, I think, an essential for if you're working in Photoshop and you want to use your references. I highly recommend it. It is free, I'm pretty sure. And it's just a great way to to keep your references handy, you can do what I've done here, which is you can do Shift Command A, and it will stay on top of your window while you're working, which is really great. I really like this guy. He's got a lot of character. All right, I think that's good enough for now. Now what shall we call him? The Guardian. And I've done it backwards again. Look at that. All right. What else we got here? Maybe I'll do one or two more of these, and then we can dive into a more detailed sketch. No eyes. That's right. He navigates by sense of smell, or some kind of fifth, sixth sense. All right, let's do something bird like. I think there was people wanted to see a griffin before, right? So maybe we can do something like that, or what's the other one? A hippogriff. I can't. What's the difference between a griffin and a hippogriff? I think a hippogriff is like a goat, right? And a griffin is a lion, something like that. Well, since we've already done our lion thing, let's get some horses up in here. Horse. Nice. Nailed it. Oh, I did a study of that one once. Horses are so cool. A lot of action poses here. We'll try something a bit more stationary. National Horse Day. What do we got? I'm kind of looking for more of a angled, maybe. Yeah, this kind of profile. 3/4 profile. These are cool too. They're so small, let's not lose them. But of course, that's another great thing about PureRef is you can, I did it earlier, but you can optimize by and arrange by size and so forth. So I'm just gonna take 1 second here, blow my nose. I'll be right back. Alrighty. Yes, like I said, I had a cold last week. Feeling better, but still a bit congested. All right, so we got our horses. Let's go back to Photoshop. We got our eagle head and our lion's body. I think we have all of the necessary ingredients. So let's do that. I'm not super confident about my ability to pull this one off, but we'll see. By the way, another thing I've been trying to do more is name my layers, which is a really important habit to get into. Not necessarily for for this exercise. What was he called? Gustav the Octo Shrimp. That's right. Gustav. But in general, really great habit to get into if you are working with multiple layers. I know in the past I've definitely done a lot of sort of 1 to 3 layer work. I usually don't get too involved with the layers, but again, recently with more character work, I've been doing a lot more kind of multiple layer work because it's really useful for developing variations later and having a bit more creative control later on in the process. So definitely getting into the habit of naming your layers cannot hurt. I wonder if we can do like a to make it a bit more just checking out the chat here. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, don't worry about what your friends think. I mean, do what works for you, obviously. Everyone's different. Everyone has their own approach. I've seen these people on YouTube, which I still can't wrap my head around, but they have a process where they just keep creating new layers. You know, they'll have like 100 layers, and they don't really keep them to go back necessarily. I think it's more of like a history thing, where if they want to backtrack and maybe go to an earlier iteration, they can do that. But you know, that just seems like a huge mess to me, and I like to keep things organized. And ultimately, like, because the digital medium is so complex and there's so many variables, you want to keep things as simple as organized as possible at all times. And that's just going to help keep your head in the right space. Ultimately, it's going to be a lot easier on your mind and your creativity if you can keep things a bit more organized. But of course, do whatever works for you. If you prefer kind of creating a big mess, and or if you don't even feel that it's a mess, you just want to kind of get in that creative flow and not worry too much about going back and forth between layers. I know, like I said, I used to do much more of a one layer kind of approach, sort of more of a traditional painting approach. And I still do that sometimes, but especially for larger client projects, if you're ever doing like a book cover or album artwork, anything with cover layouts, or even a more extensive sort of detailed illustration, or especially if you're doing a matte painting and you're working with a lot of photo textures and stuff like that, it can be really useful to keep those layers up in case you want to maybe revise an earlier decision or backtrack a little bit, and also to keep those layers organized. So what we're seeing here, this kind of iconic horse pectorals. I believe they're the same, or maybe those are actually the deltoids. These big bunches here, those actually might be deltoids. One of the most interesting things you can do when using animal references is just thinking about how the same muscle groups have evolved differently in different creatures depending upon their needs, in terms of, you know, locomotion and just getting around generally. It's very cool. Like seeing how the biceps, for example, which, in humans are like very highly developed because we have to do a lot of pulling, whereas in horses and lions and most quadrupeds, really, it's really unnecessary. In fact, most of the work is done by the pectorals or the deltoids, which is bringing that forward motion, or otherwise, their kind of forearm muscles are doing a lot of the movement work. So I don't know. I find that stuff pretty interesting. This is looking a little bit weird, but let's just do a quick. I think it's just the legs are a little small here. Probably beef these up a little bit too, since we're working with a mythical creature here, and we want to give them some sweet muscles. So this is where I would kind of bring in the lion's posterior. So we can do that, because I really like those. This is a bit exaggerated, but I like the bow-legged kind of look that I'm showing right here. It has a really cool sort of dynamic feel to it. You see that in a lot of like alien and creature designs. It just has this nice sense of dynamic stability to it. Not sure if I'm getting the perspective exactly right here, though. We want to move that over a bit. Oh, interesting. Wow. Inez is dropping some facts here. I wonder, I expect with a blacksmith, they probably have larger forearms than anything, because I can't expect they would do too much pulling. It's a lot more forceful movement, so probably a lot of forearm musculature happening there as well. It's interesting though that one arm tends to be a bit larger than the other. Alright, let's go into it. Of course, we have to have the wings. Let's bring those out. Give this guy a little bit of space. Let's not violate our friend's space over there. Do another one, something like that. Sometimes hard to tell exactly the shape that wing is going to take from the other angle there. When you actually look at, you know, birds' wings that are foreshortened or otherwise, it can often be a pretty unexpected shape. And if I were to develop this one further, I'd probably have to get a more specific reference for that. Of course, I'm going to have to draw the hooves at some point, which for some reason I'm avoiding. It's not that complicated, really. Something like that. It's not quite right, but whatever. Keep going for now. I think this, let's see, yeah, we need to also shorten the upper arm in horses and lions and other quadrupeds. They tend to have a much shorter upper arm as well. So we'll have to take that into account. And they have this sort of extended leg segment there. I'm getting very sketchy with this, but we'll give them a smaller head too. This is an interesting fact as well, or less of a fact than kind of an observation, is when you make a creature's head and eyes especially smaller, they tend to look much larger. You know, I guess, you know, younger or smaller creatures tend to have a proportionally larger head and eyes. So if you ever really want to give that impression of a really huge creature, it can't hurt to at least explore that a little bit in your design phase. So here I'm kind of going with a slightly exaggerated smaller head. Ooh, I'm gonna have to plug in here. There we go. All right. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. I'm gonna shrink up this. This is looking a little bit weird. Still looks weird. I think it's because it's at a weird angle. I need to foreshorten it a little bit. That is something I'm still not super good at. I can do it enough to get by, but when it comes to really, and that's something I need to practice too with figures and with creatures and stuff, it's just really understanding the 3D planes and object that underlies the form, and that's really the key to understanding foreshortening as well, is being able to accurately plot out the 3D forms beneath. Yeah, that looks much better. I'm kind of giving him a bit of a curved ground plane here. Kind of like he's sitting at the top of some huge rock. If you're ever hanging out with a dog too, if you have a dog or know someone with a dog, spend some time, getting to know these muscles as well, especially around the legs and the forearms and the chest too. They have a similar setup here around the chest. It's really interesting to see how their muscles and stuff kind of come together, and then compare them to your own, and see how they're the same and how they differ. See here, like because I just have been doing so much human figure work, my inclination is to give them, this creature, sort of a evenly distributed forearm and upper arm area, when in fact it would be much more forearm than I'm showing here. And I shouldn't forget too to check my references as well. Once again, very highly developed deltoid and also a highly developed tricep here, because that is also responsible for pushing back while they're running forward. Which is kind of cool as well. I've also been studying, or just sort of observing generally, if any of you are into fitness or bodybuilding or anything like that, that can be a really great opportunity to study anatomy as well. If you're interested in targeting specific muscle groups during your workout, understanding how they function, that can be a really cool dive to go into, to understand what each muscle is responsible for, and what actions and activities will more directly target one muscle group over another. It's just kind of cool stuff to learn about. All right, this leg is not cooperating with me. Let's do a quick zoom out. I think just do a little tweak here. Might be good enough. Cool. All right, let's not spend too much time on this. And got the thing in the eyes, and let's be a little bit more specific with the eye here. I got to bring back my eagle reference. They have this nice, really intense upper brow, which I think is what makes them look so intimidating. And sometimes a few kind of crest feathers back here. A little eyeball. That's a really intense sort of beak shape as well. I think also putting, whoops, what am I doing here? Putting the eye a little bit closer to the front of the head. This tends to be, am I drawing on the wrong layer here? I think I am. Yep. Ah, whatever. That's the background, isn't it? Yeah. I do that all the time. Okay. Let's just scoop this guy up. Copy and paste. And then I'm just gonna Shift F5. Fill with, actually, there's a new shortcut I just learned for this, which is Command Delete, which for some reason fills it with a secondary color, so I actually have to switch them. But I think that will do it. Let me try it again. Oh, maybe I didn't put it on the wrong layer. I'm very confused. Okay, I guess I didn't, and we don't have to worry about that. So I'm just gonna throw on a little tail here, and then we can decide for the last half hour here what we want to go into with a little bit more detail and do more of a refined sketch. So we have 6 options here, and while I'm finishing up here, I'll sort of zoom out and let you take a look and decide what you want to see developed into. Well, we can vote on it, or we could put these guys in the wheel and have the wheel decide for us. But I would like to hear what you guys want to do as well. We don't have to leave it all up to chance. So yeah, just leave something in the chat if you want to vote for something, and we'll bring one of these guys into more detail here. I'll just call this one the Griffin. GRYP, I think that's how you spell it. Let's do that. Let's give that more of a more boldness here. Come on, there we go. Nice. All right, while you guys are deciding there, let me take a look at the chat. So I checked in a little bit. Let's see. Nick says, are you back home or still digital nomading? Yeah, I'm back in Burlington, Vermont. Let's see. I got back here in January after driving around the U.S. for 3.5, 4-ish months. Not completely in a continuous way. I drove through basically from here up in New England west across actually down the coast first and then west through the Midwest, and ended up down in Austin, Texas, which was really cool. And then I flew out from there to Puerto Rico for a week, and then I flew back to Vermont for another week around Christmas, and then I flew back to Austin and drove along the Gulf Coast and back up the East Coast back to Burlington in the middle of the winter, which wasn't the best time to return, but I was a little bit burnt out. I've got this, I've got some projects I have to attend to here. And just, kind of wanted a little bit of stability to focus more on my work. It was sustainable. I was able to work from the road and, from coffee shops and stuff, and even from my car a lot. That's one of the awesome things about, doing this kind of work is it's all, remote. So, as long as I have Wi-Fi and my laptop, and I was working from my MacBook and, just creating stuff, and my iPad, creating stuff that way. But it was a little tough to find a lot of time for it, because every day was just sort of like, just figuring out, where I was going to get food, where I was going to sleep, a lot of logistical things that I had to, keep track of. which made it hard to like really find the time to get the work I needed to do done. So I think, you know, it's definitely something I'm going to be exploring more in the future, but I think for now I'm just kind of glad to just be like sort of, you know, have a designated workspace and not have to be worrying about all that stuff. But, you know, I've continued a lot of the same kind of work style, and I'm you know, working at coffee shops and stuff and moving around a lot more, and that's really been helpful as well. Okay, let's see what we got here. Sabrina says, I love that whenever you stream, I become motivated as well and start to paint. That's awesome. I'm very glad to hear that. Let's see. What else here? Manticore, swamp crawler. All right, let's do the wheel here. Let's let the fates decide. Oh my God, stop. Okay. Did not mean to spin it a second time. Maybe this will be next stream, the temple with the creature. Maybe we can expand on that a little bit. We can use the creature we already made. But first, let me just put in what we got. Pointy guy, manticore, swamp, creature, crawler. That's right. Guardian, Griffin, and Gustav the Octoshrimp. All right. I think that's all of them. Where did it go? There it is. All right. Spinning it. Let's see what we got. Nice. Yeah, the wheel is a great idea. I can't believe I only used this once before. This is very fun. Colorful, and they have the little confetti at the end and the applause, which, you know, I really need to make this feel like a compelling performance. Anyway, let's take a bit of a deeper dive into our swamp crawler here. I'm just gonna group everything else and hide it for now. What is this? Let's merge these. Swamp crawler. Nice. All right. So first thing I'll probably do is just knock back the opacity a little bit and do a new layer. Let's do another pass with a bit more finesse to it. It doesn't have to be inking necessarily, but I do want to start to think about the more subtle movements here. Maybe turn on a little bit of smoothing in case we want to make some really nice lines here. I'll start thinking about these joints and, you know, how the skin is behaving in these areas. Start creating a little bit more crispness. Create some little ripples and stuff like that. Sabrina's asking, heading out to Austin at the end of April. Nice. I'm actually thinking about moving to Austin. It's a really cool place, and there are a lot of game development companies and stuff like that there. And I've been kind of thinking about putting out some feelers and trying to pick up a an actual studio job or something like that, or maybe even just sort of some freelance contract stuff with one of those studios there. It's weird when you work entirely remotely. I was thinking about this morning, and there's not really like any incentive to be in one place over another. And like, it was cool to be able to travel around, but it's a little bit too much freedom for me. Because like, when you don't really have, I mean, like I went around and saw, friends and some family around, and that was great. It's great to have the freedom to do that. But ultimately, like, there's no reason for me to stay in one place over another, in terms of like any other factors. So I'm kind of thinking it would be nice to have like some kind of job or something that will allow me to explore a new place a little bit. I am looking to check out some other countries as well, which I don't have a lot of experience with that, but especially because I've been developing so many cool connections with people in Europe and around the world, through my artwork and through Evident. Been meeting a lot of really cool people that way, and through doing stuff like this and live streams and that kind of stuff. It's been really neat to sort of get in touch with people around the world and sort of expand my range of possibilities a little bit that way. And also the other thing too, which is becoming a bit more of a factor as the more I think about it, is one of the great advantages of being a digital artist or working remotely generally is that you can sort of sway your income to expense ratio by seeking out places with a lower cost of living while sort of maintaining the same income through the work, which is a really cool thing I would like to explore more. I've probably said this before, but Burlington and Vermont generally are not exactly low cost of living spaces. So it's I would like to sort of check out some other areas where I might be able to live a bit more profitably. I think that he almost has like these human hands. It's pretty weird. I don't know. I'm a little confused about what's happening in the chat there, talking about me getting into trouble, but I'm not in trouble. Oh yeah, I didn't get kidnapped, if that's what you're talking about. Maybe we can include a little bit of an angle with this guy here, with his face, so it's not totally flat on. I've also I've been reading the Game of Thrones book recently, or at least the first one. That's been really cool. I don't know if any of you guys have ever taken a dive into that. I never actually watched the show because I kind of started to get into it, or I tried to get into, because it was this big sensation and everything, and everyone was watching it, so I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. And I can't really do the the heavy like violence and gore stuff. I'm just like, I don't know, I'm not super into it. With books, I think it's just I have a very overly sensitive imagination, so like it's hard. Like I look at it, I understand it's fake, like I know it's prop, but like it becomes very, very real very quickly. So I feel like with a book I can kind of get into that stuff and not be totally overwhelmed by all the sensory information there and the gratuitous violence. But anyway, I've been reading that, and that's been really cool. Pretty so, it's sort of almost meandering in terms of it's not like a very like linear plot. It's not very forward driven. And it's kind of nice, you're not like sort of being shoved through this action packed sequence. You're kind of just like figuring stuff out slowly, and you have to kind of work out a lot of things based on the details that are provided, and a lot of showing and not telling, which is always a great way to experience a book, or a movie for that matter. Yeah, pretty bold claim there. Yeah, of course, I like a lot of a lot of the fantasy and sci-fi stuff, but yeah, and I don't know, I can be kind of stubborn when it comes to pop culture sensations. I tend to like deliberately avoid things that are really popular, for whatever reason. I don't know, I guess I'm just kind of stubborn like that. It's like Star Wars, like I love Star Wars, but like of course that's highly controversial anyway, but I can't really get on board with a lot of the newer stuff that Disney's been doing. And I don't know if that's just because I'm stubbornly clinging to my own sort of nostalgic experience of the franchise, or if it's because there's an actual decline in quality, which could probably be a little bit of both. But that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I'm not gonna go on too many wild tangents here. Something about his face is just it's not super intimidating to me. Maybe if I shorten his mouth a little bit. Or maybe kind of exaggerated the shape a little bit. I think it was just a little bit too kind of like a little too passive. Siddharth weighing in here with the the opinion at the end. Yeah, definite decline. All right, we've one vote for a decline in quality. I'm gonna start a chat war here for sure. Yeah, this guy's not super threatening. I'm not really. Maybe if I gave him a beak. That's kind of. He needs some kind of like weird, non-traditional feature. Right now he's just kind of nerdy looking. But I guess that's okay. Nothing wrong with being nerdy. I'm pretty nerdy myself. Maybe give him some teeth. Or give him an underbite. That's always a little bit more menacing, right? This guy's funny. Yeah, I think he's a little bit too sort of blatantly frog-like now. I want to give him some other sort of features. Maybe like some weird antennae. Some little growths. I agree. I liked Rogue One as well. That one I have actually seen quite a few times since it came out. I really enjoyed that. I really wish they would do more kind of like dark, gritty, sort of tangential, world building stories instead of just kind of like, the nostalgia party that it's been. And I was, oh man, this is it's like one of the few things I have like mildly strong opinions about, but they're just Star Wars in general and like Lord of the Rings and the franchises I grew up with. But the Book of Boba Fett for me was just like a huge letdown. I was like, that was like one of the first like Star Wars installments where I actually was like, I don't know if I can keep watching this. It's like not even, I don't know, for me, like even the visual effects like weren't enough for me to like continue to push through that, but whatever. I won't go too far into that. Welcome, Jose. Nice to see you here, catching the end of the stream. And I usually do 2 hours, but since this guy's not even really close to a presentable state here, I might just keep going for a bit, but I do have to eat some food. Anyway, yeah, I'll just keep rolling along here. And thank you for the congratulations. Yeah, I've just been kind of I just sort of checked in the other day, and like I said, I haven't been doing too much YouTube or live stream content recently. And again, to answer your question, Sabrina, I would like to do this more often, and I can't really commit to doing a regular Sunday stream again. Unfortunately, I just, Sundays are, one of the few times when I can kind of commit to doing nothing. And that's really valuable for me and my general health and sanity. Something I recommend to anyone actually is just having seeing it if you can, to take one day of the week to just not plan or attempt to do anything. And it can be quite valuable, but in any case, I mean, I do enjoy doing these streams, and I think it's just like when I feel like I have pressure, and of course, like nobody else is, really. I mean, I appreciate people giving me input and requesting that I do stuff, and but sometimes I just put a little pressure on myself to do this kind of extra stuff when I really don't have the time, and that's just something I've got to work on a little bit more. It's just doing this and just settling into the process without like having huge expectations about how it's going to go. That's a valuable skill generally, of course, and definitely something valuable for artists. because, if you're doing freelance work or if you're just sketching for fun or whatever it is, it's all self-directed, and that means there's a lot of opportunities for internal criticism to come into play. I know a lot of artists I talk to struggle with that, and a lot of the students I work with. By the way, got to do some quick plugs here. If you are, I don't know if anyone watching is in the Burlington area, but if you are, or in Vermont, I'm running a 4-week digital painting workshop in Burlington for the at BTC, and be covering sort of the foundations of digital painting, a little bit more broad than what I do with my students in my mentorship sessions, which is, there's usually some assumption that they have a little bit of experience with the digital medium first, but and that's the other thing too, is if you are interested in getting feedback on your work or developing a longer term plan for your building skills around digital painting and concept art and illustration, I do offer one-on-one tutoring, and either per session, or you can sign up for the regular mentorship program, which is sort of a longer term plan, where we meet a couple times a month and sort of create sort of a targeted plan around what kind of skills you want to be building. So if you're interested in that, and sort of developing your digital art and illustration skills and all that a little bit more, you can check out the link in the description to my website and take a look at the mentorship program there. Yeah, this guy's looking. He used to have he had 2 eyes, didn't he? Or 4 eyes. I guess 2 on each side. I think I'm gonna bring that back. I want to really give him some weirdness. And I want to make these eyes a bit more round, because it's gonna really, and sometimes it's a little creepier when you have them kind of looking off in different directions. What's the concept behind this one? We're just doing monsters. That was our prompt. We did a spin of the wheel at the beginning, and we landed on monsters, which, gave us a lot of flexibility in terms of our design. So I don't know if you caught this in time, Jose, but I'll show you here. We did a few different sketches to kind of get the ball rolling, and then we ended up going with the swamp creature. So that's, and I've taken that, and I'm starting to give him a bit more attention here, a bit more development into a sketch. And while I would love to, maybe I'll work on this a little bit later. I gotta get some lunch here in a minute. So I'm getting a little bit carried away with all these tiny details, and I haven't even finished the outline here, but maybe I'll at least get that done. Of course, I don't want to rush through it, but getting distracted, of course. Yeah, this guy's pretty weird. I want to kind of almost make it look like he has human hands, because that's always creepy when You have a creature that isn't human but has human hands. All right. See you later, Inez. Have a great week. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this up in just a minute here as well. After I finish this little back flipper. So, if you're wondering, and I don't know if I'm going to pick this up next week or even, I don't want to promise I'm going to continue this, but we would go into sort of a, coloring phase, maybe even a value phase first for this design. And from there we would kind of start to build up the material a little bit, maybe eventually do some photo texturing stuff. Let's just drop out the sketch underneath so it's a little clean. This is our monster, I guess, this swamp crawler thing, and I think he's pretty cool. We could definitely do some kind of drooling stuff like that if we wanted to, or at least like a little something like that. We could, and we would do a lot of that too with the material rendering and shading phase too, just like really making them look all slimy and creepy and stuff. Maybe for now we could just do like a quick, I don't know, maybe I didn't, maybe we can do this. Fill this in properly, make sure there are no holes. Do a quick outside selection. Invert it. And, what did I do? Cancel. Invert. Please. And then just do a quick fill here. All right, that did not invert. Oh yeah, Photoshop has been very, very weird with the pop-up boxes recently. Not sure why. There we go. I was doing the wrong. So we can fill in the silhouette, and then from there, we'll probably build up the material a little bit. But anyway, we can leave that here for today, and thank you all for joining me for this session here. We can take a little look at, maybe we can do a little display of all of our designs. This is always, kind of fun doing making a little bit of a presentation out of it. Make it at least look like I was being neat and organized here. It's a nice little creature sheet. Put our title up at the top. Monsters. Boom. Yeah, I got some cool ideas here though, and this is thank you again to everyone who was dropping suggestions for today's stream, because this is not something I would have thought to do on my own. It's something I've not done in a while, so this was really cool, and I appreciate your input. And I think maybe I would like to continue doing these on Sundays. So, keep an eye out in the, if you haven't joined the Discord group yet, I would recommend that. That's probably the fastest way to get information about this. But you can also follow my Instagram channel or just subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't already. And you can hit the bell to get notified when I'm doing events like this. Hopefully doing one next weekend, and I will keep you guys updated about that. And I really like this kind of like getting your input about what I make here, because it kind of takes some of the pressure off me. So anyway, hope you all are doing well, and hope you have a great Sunday, and I will catch you again soon. Bye-bye.